the laws and answer to the courts. But in the many recent cases, the police have been kept completely in the dark. They often hear about the arrests only when the military brings the suspects to them later. These are swift military-style raids, not normal police arrests with patrol cars and unclear procedures. At the end of the day, the military simply dumps the suspects at police cells. The police are then left to handle cases they never investigated and arrests they did not carry out. Now, this happened again just days ago with former Kampala Lord Mayor Erias Lukwago, who was seized from his home by armed soldiers wearing UPDF uniform. This is the new reality playing out on the streets of Uganda. This morning on the Media Roundtable, we examine how and why the military has stepped into the role of civilian arrests, what it means for all of us, and when the military becomes the main force handling the arrests of its own citizens, where exactly is the line between keeping order and crossing it. I'll introduce my panel in just a bit. This is a Media Roundtable. I have a terrific panel to discuss all that and the state of affairs of this country this morning. Timothy Chemonges, always a pleasure having you here on the Media Roundtable.
Thank you, Conrad. Good to be here, and a very good morning to our viewers and fellow panelists.
Gloria Nakaju, it's been a pleasure having you here once again.
Thank you, Canary. Very good to be here, and good morning, viewers.
Simon Mianga Lutaya. Simon Mianga Lutaya.
It's great being here, Canada, with you on the Media Roundtable.
Yes. Let me begin with you. You've seen the current arrests. They're not even current because they've been happening over the years, but there's a new wave of arrests being carried out by the UPDF. Begs so many questions on the state of affairs of this country. Why? Because many citizens are asking, why are the authorities silent? Why are the institutions that are supposed to be keeping law and order silent? It was quite surreal this week when the police spokesperson was questioned in a press interview about the arrest of Erias Lukwago, and he had no idea. Later, the following day at 5 a.m., Erias Lukwago was dumped at a police cell at Chira Police and later taken to court. Police never investigated this case and never carried out an arrest, only to hear about this particular case after Erias Lukwago was dumped at the police. The current state of affairs, what do you think is going on? Is it a leadership vacuum?
Thank you, Canary. I have, over the last 2 weeks, chosen not to debate the events that happen, but to examine the underlying causes, the implications, and maybe what they tell for the future. Like you said, many people are asking, are the institutions silent? Yes. Who asked that question? These institutions have been silent for quite a while, because this particular arrest of Erias Lukwago is not very new in itself. The only difference is that it is a former Lord Mayor. But such arrests have happened. In them, there are some good things and some bad things. Like I've always said before, I am one of those who are interested in getting to the bitter truth of whether Dr. Kizza Besigye, the man I've worked with and admired for so long, actually intended to overthrow this government. I want to see it concluded. Whichever way it moves, I'm only interested in its logical conclusion and the truth, nothing but the truth. So if these events are divergent on either part, one on the part of General Mhoska Nirugaba, who has openly spoken about his hate for Dr. Besigye and gives the reason that Dr. Besigye attempted to kill his father. Because when he's talking about the case, he does not say he attempted to kill the president. He says, attempted or planned to kill my father. I read the emotional attachment to it. If he looks at it that way, it's a son-father affair. Any son, including mine, would get out outrageous like that if you attempted to kill me. or if he was told and is convinced beyond reasonable doubt that you actually had the intention to kill me, my son would behave the same way General was behaving. The difference being the authority and power that both of them will be using to do that. So on the side of the opposition, or the opposing side for this matter, one wonders why there have been diversionary tactics for this case. I would much think that Dr. Kizza Besigye is interested in having this matter concluded, first to regain his freedom, or if not, to have the country get the truth of what is alleged to have been planned or committed by him. So when we get to the close part of the trial that we're about to start, and then somebody comes up with a case that they are suing Muhoozi Kainerugaba for attempted murder or attempting to kill Dr. Besigye through a tweet, well aware that from the case of Counsel Muwema, it has been hard to prove that a tweet, just a tweet of that nature, online, can be evidence enough to bring you facts about the alleged plot. I would think that the game is embarrassing, sometimes provoking this kind of authorities. Many people, when Elias was talking about, we are going to summon General Muhoozi, he must appear with a lot of authority. And so myself, I'm asking, okay, who has the duty to serve the other party? That's one, number one. Number two, the only person who issues these summons, and that is the authority behind them, is the court itself. I would think the court has the duty to enforce that whatever they ordered, the summons they gave out, have been respected. And if they don't do it, the case is called contempt of court, which means the authority of these summons, the duty is the court themselves. And courts have process servers who are supposed to serve such documents. The court servers don't go on announcing that we have been told to hunt for ABCD. Once the issues are said, the process takes place. So I want to believe that between Elias Lukwago and General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, there are no issues of legal requirement. There are no legal questions. These are simply political questions. But understanding this question analytically, like I've said always here, that some people need to take time to understand General Museveni himself. Because, like you've said, the institutions are silent, the leaders are silent. You only fear to say General Museveni is silent. He's the person I would have expected to speak first if he found the actions of General Muhoozi Kainerugaba. Because he has authority both as a parent, but also as appointing authority and the commander-in-chief of armed forces.
But let's question a little bit of where you started from. You seem to suggest that these current arrests could be evoked by, have been evoked by emotions because of a father-son affair or whatever the allegations are in the Dr. Kizza Besigye's case. So then, but where does that leave the rule of law?
Mm-hmm. Now, when you're debating the rule of law, you know, I've always told you I'm a realist. I don't want to speak sweet. You cannot demand the rule of law now, because the events that have happened before on both sides have not read the rule of law. So what I've been trying to explain to you, if the rule of law is what we are advocating for, does it have special people supposed to enforce or not? So I was asking you, if the Nakawa court summoned Elias Lukwago, General Muhoozi, would it be the duty of these defense lawyers to shout, to make noise, to speak loud, to demand, in a way that looks a bit unrespectful and outrageous, for the CDF to appear? To me, the answer is no. It is court that must ensure that the orders they have issued are fulfilled. If you do not do that, you will be still gotten on the other issue of contempt of court. And contempt of court is a serious matter. Everybody knows it. We have seen lawyers, judges send lawyers to the coolers because of contempt of court. We have had people serve sentences because of contempt of court. So the refusal or acceptance by the CDF to appear in court affects the court more on the part of the rule of law as an institution by government than anybody else.
Oh, so you're saying it was not the duty of the defense lawyers
That's my
to
view.
serve?
That's my view.
Gloria, is Uganda entering a new political phase that is unfolding right in front of our eyes, but we're just taking long to accept it?
Yeah, you know, for people that have been born, grown up in this era, like this is just, it comes off as a shock. Like, you're like, okay, we've been reading about, about these things, and you always, we've been given this kind of pseudo-stability. I want to call it pseudo-stability, that we expect things to move a certain way. But I think the way things are happening now, that normalcy or that stability that we've come to get used to is being challenged. Now, you see, even my colleague, the way Muyanga is, he's also not very sure where he's placing his argument. Because the truth is, we have a constitution, there is something called rule of law, so we cannot argue around it and try to normalize what is happening. I think let's state it as it is, that yes, we can no longer speak to the things that we used to know. We can no longer say that there is a rule of law, because at the end of the day, someone just comes up, issues an order, and I think actually the other day he told us we should be taking the things that he tweets very seriously. Because that alone in itself is, I mean, it creates fear. You keep wondering, okay, what is next? Do I live by what the laws of this land dictate, or there's somewhere else where actually order is coming from, or maybe if that order or disorder is coming from. So for me, I think, yes, we are moving in a totally different direction that we're not very familiar with. A state of disorder, let's call it as it is, because we know what the order is. So anything that is outside that, then it becomes disorder. So we are moving in a state of disorder, and actually that is where the painful part of things is, that everyone seems to be quiet. Like, you keep wondering, okay, can someone who we have assigned some kind of responsibility, because we also know that these people hold this responsibility on our behalf. So at the end of the day, you keep asking yourself, where is my agency? Where is my power? Because I gave this power to someone. There are leaders that I expect to actually be speaking for me or protecting any Ugandan. But at this point in time, you keep asking yourself, who are the people that hold power, that I gave power to? Because someone is showing us that they are the law, they can determine who lives and who doesn't live, they can determine whether you are free today or you're not. You know, the things that we used to think are unalienable rights, we can no longer speak to that. We don't know anymore. So
we've had relative stability for about 40 years now.
Yes, exactly.
Under the NRM government.
Exactly.
Do you think with what's happening today we're shifting away from that, or that's how actually power has been consolidated over years?
I want to think that the environment probably has been created to facilitate this kind of disorder. If things were happening and we let them happen, then we start to normalize them. So I think it's not just happening now. We seem to have created that environment where things happen and people that do the things get away with them. So yes, we have had that, like I called it, pseudo-normalcy. We thought things would actually be the same. We thought things we thought things would be moving as per the laws of the land, but that is not happening. So maybe, yes, we have the laws. We hoped that those could protect us, but it turns out that even the laws of this land can no longer protect us. Someone can actually rise up and tell you what is normal and what is not normal.
Timothy, you've observed events in the current events as they unfold right in front of our eyes. My question to you is, many are asking, why are the institutions silent? And many are saying, where is the president?
Yeah.
Why is he not saying anything about it? But most importantly, what does this reveal about the direction Uganda is taking?
So thank you, Kandre. I think for me, things have been the same. It's just that they're happening right in front of our eyes. Otherwise, the pattern has been the same. The abuse of the rule of law has been happening. The abuse of our institution is not the first time it's happening.
So you are shocked that people are shocked?
I'm shocked that we are really shocked. But I think for me, more importantly, is that it is the impunity that has increased. Otherwise, everything that is happening has happened before. If it means arbitrary arrests, has been happening. It's just that how they've been happening, who is now leading them, probably is more in the media and probably social media. The rest have been doing it, from the background. And so it's the approach, not the events as they are. In terms of the institution, why they are silent, I think, again, it's the same pattern. Our institutions' ability to execute whatever they are conceptualized to do has been a problem for some time now. You have, for example, the Human Rights Commission that has attempted to, in the previous times, come a bit more strong in terms of what is happening. They were beaten, and I think they have decided to step back. Parliament, which ideally should be at the forefront of these matters that is happening in the country, they've stepped back, and it's not that it's happening for the first time. We've seen elections come, go, and the predictability of what is likely to happen is really the same. And so I think that for me, our institutions have been reduced to survival mode. Those that are in leading these institutions are also simply surviving. You have institutions such as Parliament. Of how these leaders come to take up these positions has a lot of the ability to stand firm in some of the events that we are seeing.
When have they ever?
I mean, it's the same challenge, really. Our institutions are a bit undermined. And we are in a place where the institutional strength is subservient to the individuals, notwithstanding that even the whole concept around civilian authority and the military authority, despite the fact that the Constitution indicates very clearly that the civilian authority is sovereign, or is higher than that of the military. The reality seems to be different. But also, I should say that the environment as it is today is scary, and that leaders and individuals leading these institutions have also been scared, and everyone seems to take the survival mode or the safety approach on how they go about things. We do not have individuals that are able to stand firm. And even those that we ideally should be looking up is like the Interreligious Council. I think they have not stood up to whatever is happening today. We've had a section of them saying they also have a life to live beyond just fighting for Uganda.
Said there will not be matters.
There will not be matters. So I think that there is a fundamental problem in terms of how the events in the country are happening.
Right.
And the question around how the military are doing their thing, which is slightly becoming more visible, I think it's also a true realization of the new norm of how things are happening.
All right. Joining us on the panel is Isaac Kayonde. Good to have you on the Media Roundtable.
Thank you very much, Canary. I'm glad to be here.
You found us discussing the military role in civilian law enforcement. I earlier gave an example of where the police spokesman was asked where the whereabouts of Elias Lukwago are, and could not. He said actually that he has no idea until later the following day or a day after at 5 a.m. he was dumped at a police cell in Chira Police. But how can a normal, ordinary Ugandan contend with the current reality?
First and foremost, I would like to agree with Mr. Chemonges there that there's nothing new here. What is new is maybe the individuals who have been arrested. And I mean, the profile of Elias Lukwago is much bigger than maybe Eddie Mutwe and the others. But I think we have seen a pattern. But you see, for me, I think that we need to know what the CDF is doing. I think for him, he has been consistent that he uses his personal Twitter to communicate and improve his political profile, so to speak. Thinking about it, I thought about President Museveni. There have been about maybe three or four things that he has done to get loyalty around the around the Ugandans. The first one is persuasion. He ideologically persuaded so many people to join him. The second is you can buy loyalty to much effect, like AA had done. You know, she bought loyalty. The third one is coercion as a tool to gain support. Now, much as it's not very desirable, it has worked to great effect in some places. You know, when President Museveni went to Karamoja at the time, I mean, he went with the gun, the persuasion, all the tools were there for him to ensure that he gains the support. And today, Karamoja is 100% in his... Now, what I think the CDF is doing is to instill some bit of fear. And as you could see on Twitter, there were so many people who were praising him. And I think that it might be his tool to get support, although what President Museveni has given us is we are not used to such coercion to conscript us into supporting an individual. So I feel like impunity of that nature needs to be condemned at all levels. I don't think the Ugandans have reached, either it's because of fear or generally not knowing what to do with this situation. But for me, President Museveni has previously acted on Muhoozi, and I think that this time he might again come back and do something. I think in the case of Kenya, where he demoted, should I call it a demotion, where he removed him from being Land's commander after that famous meeting, and put him on the side for a while because of the diplomatic spat that he had created. So I believe he might tone down, he might act, but the buck stops with President Museveni. We should have no illusion who is in charge of this country. If it were up to Muhoozi, I think Barrio Munsi and others would not be part of the cabinet.
Right.
So we shall await what
do you think that Uganda has entered a new political phase that we need to contend with? After 4 decades of the NRM?
After the 4 decades, I don't think so. I think there's the man in charge, the president of Uganda, still has all the arms together. And I feel like the outrage is towards an individual, but not necessarily the NRM system. I mean, we have just had an election in Chikube, and people voted NRM, you know. So the outrage is maybe in the method of works of the CDF, but not necessarily the government. So we expect that, you know, there will be that stability for President Museveni in the next 5 years.
Gloria, the new political phase I've been trying to talk about is you have the influence of the Patriotic League of Uganda, headed by General Moses Kainerugaba, in all leadership circles now, right from the top to bottom. You see people pledging loyalty. You also have loyalty being pledged from the leadership of parliament itself. I actually saw new tweets today saying even the opposition must be conquered and a new leader of opposition must be appointed, so as to say. But you also have the commander of the Defense Forces who has gone on to also carry out reforms inside the army itself. And I think it was during the era of General Wilson Mbadi when there was so many powers now handed over to the CDF as the command of the UPDF. Do you think that after 4 decades of the NRM, we're seeing a shift slowly? While many would have thought that it would happen maybe in an election or maybe in a coup, maybe this is what we've been waiting for.
Well, the fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, there has to be a transition. And I think, as you rightly state, this is probably what is happening. And I was seeing the other day, I think we have about 23 ministers from PLU. So that's big. Yeah, and I remember the last conversation we had when we were doing predictions around how the cabinet is going to shape out. And yes, one of the things that we said, the key influences or the people that we're going to see is going to be PLE having a very big influence. And yes, I want to think that the transition is happening. It's been 40 years, and the things that we cannot deny, President Museveni has served, and it gets to that time when there's definitely going to be a change of guards. But I think the question is really how this is happening. And yes, as I was saying, we've been given this kind of a thinking as Ugandans that things happen this way. But I think this is likely going to turn out totally differently as we would have expected. And I saw someone starting a conversation of moving from adult suffrage to parliamentary election of the president. I mean, those are not very innocent discussions. They're not very innocent. I'm starting to think that in one way is also preparation. It is preparing us for what is actually, because these things do not just happen randomly.
So these are not things to take lightly?
They're not things to take lightly, because if you see that, yes, in the different arms of government, we are seeing the penetration or penetration of PLU, and then there's parliament that is now, you could see like it was more like bowing down to the CDF, and you're thinking, okay, this is number 3. This is so. I have a feeling that we are being prepared. And yes, like my colleagues have highlighted, it is the how this is happening that is coming off as a shock.
Do you think that this is happening with the acceptance of the president himself?
The fact that there's been silence from the head of state with everything that is happening, I'm starting to think that he is allowing this to actually happen. Yes.
Sir Simon, for decades, Uganda has had such a strong military tradition. Are we now moving beyond the military, just supporting the state to the military becoming a more primary instrument or a domestic political control instrument? And what would that mean for the future of Uganda's democracy?
3 things and quick ones. Kind one, I want to think that General Muhoozi is showing Ugandans the other side of what power can do. Because when they had what we would call seamless, the comfort and the peace, many of us have taken that for granted. We think that's how things are supposed to be. Somehow, what General Muhoozi has done is helping us to say that, by the way, if we thought Museveni was this worse, there could be some other person worse than this one. He's simply sampling us. He cannot do much in destabilizing the country. Whatever he's doing, I treat these things as mere jokes. One thing I admire is to see General Muhoozi on camera saying the same things he does on Twitter with his own voice and face. And tactfully, he has avoided that. That makes me think that whereas he calls us to take these things seriously, some of them are simple jokes. But in there is a word he keeps using that we need to investigate also objectively. I will deal with these traitors. I want to believe somebody does not just come out and say Muyanga is a traitor. He must qualify it, whether the qualification is public or he keeps it to himself. But for somebody to say these traitors, we must know the information, knowledge, privilege that informs his selection of diction. To call this not opposition politicians, not anything, but say this Lukwago is a traitor. Could they have dealings that one of them disappointed or not? The second one, I want to also remind you of how the opposition has been addressing Muhoozi over time. Only now that they are yelling to see so release the other one, that they are calling him CDF. They are recognized that this man is the chief of defense forces. But many times when they are speaking in a manner that belittles him, they simply say, this is Museveni's son. The other, they said this is drunkard. And you can see what happens. They say, why are you dechi? Or why you such? There's been a lot of belittling language of this man that humanly, he may at one time get angry. And what do we do when we have the power? When you get angry and you have something that can help you revenge, that would also be done by any other person. So if we are going to move forward in a sober manner, the opposition must respect Muhoozi as the chief of defense forces. I have heard many say, you know how did he get there? Yes, he went to Sandhurst and they told us that this guy is going to Sandhurst. He graduated, we all saw this. We knew that he was in the military. He chose to be there. Whether he's a general or not a general, like many people have said, because I've also heard others saying, what type of general is this one? This is not general. But sometimes when you provoke somebody, they bring out their true colors. But, Canary, you remember that I've asked Ugandans every time I appear here to take time and interest in defining who Yoweri Kaguta Museveni is and knowing him. Mr. Museveni does not make innocent statements like Gloria is saying, using the word, when he told us one time at Kololo why he had named his son Muhoozi. He even told us that means an avenger, and said, one who revenge for me. If the child they said will revenge for the father grows to that level with that authority, and then you keep, he has a lot that he feels is not right for his father. You have done this to his father. He keeps saying it when he talks about emotion. He says, you've been a headache to my father. And then you remember that this man told you that this one will revenge for him. He's rightly doing the job that the father aspired him to do at birth. To me, I take it that light.
That's an interesting perspective there from Simon. Let's take a break. When we return, is this a new political order? Is it something Ugandans should adapt to anyway? And what does it mean for the future of Uganda's democracy?
Why pay for someone else's repairs? Say goodbye to hidden costs and hello to peace of mind of a brand new start. Discover the Suzuki range of unmatched fuel-efficient and reliable options. From the iconic Jimny to the new Across Hybrid. Find the perfect blend of style and world-class efficiency. Upgrade today and enjoy 1 year of free fuel and comprehensive insurance, plus 2 years of free service and a 3-year warranty. Trade in your current car or choose financing to start driving as you pay installments. Don't wait. Visit the Suzuki showroom today or call 0800-211-033 to get started.
Mustafa, Chikozi, welcome home.
It is small, but it is something. Everyone starts from somewhere.
Welcome home.
Chikozi, the problem is the foundation.
Do you know the kind of cement I'm using in this foundation? I guarantee you even my grandchildren will come and find this house.
Muzaffaru, the day I decide to build. In fact, I will import the foundation into the country. By the way, your security lights, they are very small. Me, when I build my house, I will put the motion sensor.
As you can see the living room, I managed to bring in some tiles.
And I told you, when I build my house, I get tiles from Italy raw, bring them here, original. This nonsense of having one TV. Me!
Some people talk about building houses. Others build them. Do you have land?
I am working on it.
You buy your buy today and get the job done. Strong, reliable, available at hardware shops countrywide.
Yes. It hasn't been easy at all.
I know.
But with you by, chiba chibwa.
So you buy, you buy.
Uganda, are you ready? The biggest football stars on the planet are about to light up your screen. From June 11th to July 19th, 2026, history will be made at the FIFA World Cup 2026. Live from Mexico, Canada, and USA. Watch the world's biggest stars chase glory on football's grandest stage. Will Mbappe shine again? Can Messi defy time one more time? Will Africa finally break the jinx and shock the world? Can Jude Bellingham dominate the midfield, or will Haaland, the goal machine, explode into the world stage? Catch all 104 matches live, uninterrupted, only on Azam TV. Get your Azam TV decoder today for only 40,000 Uganda shillings, or 80,000 with a dish included. Visit any authorized dealer countrywide or call 0312-308-900 today. Azam TV.
Entertainment for everybody.
And that's it for today. Till the next episode.
Like a daily bando, like a daily bando, like a daily bando. Omuliro nguwulira muli mu mutima kukankana like drums. Kalakata, kalakata, endungu ya kusabula. We gonna do free on fire, free on fire, free on fire.
Kumulembe kuna abakozi bakyayambala ebintu ebyo bisambala bannannyini makolero zi kampuni abakozi mubafunire uniforms eziri ku mulembe okuva mu Jude Color Solutions banyirire bafulume mu material ne design ebiriko ate nga kuliko n'akabonero ka kampuni yo olwo business ogiba abantu mu maaso bagimanye tosubwa campaign eno omulamu akugamba nti stand out mu uniform yo ne Jude Color Solutions bali ku Prime Complex ku Johnson Street shop number C24 esimu noti 7772 45 91 mwenda wamune ku www.judecolorsolutions.com.
In a fast-moving world, why are we still stuck with paperwork? Signing here, stamping there, moving from office to office. It's exhausting. Now, there's a better way. With UG Pass, you can securely prove your identity, sign documents, and access government services anytime, anywhere. No delays, no stress. Everything is instant, safe, secure, and government-backed. UG Pass, your identity secured. Available in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. UG Pass is a product of Nita Uganda.
The Ministry of Health informs the public to remain vigilant against Ebola virus disease. Symptoms include diarrhea, vomiting, abdominal pain, fever, and body weakness. If you or someone you know develops these symptoms, seek medical attention immediately. Protect yourself and others by avoiding handshakes and unnecessary physical contact, washing your hands regularly with soap and water, or using an alcohol-based sanitizer. Cleaning frequently touched surfaces and avoid direct contact with infected persons' body fluids like vomit, stool, sweat, and urine. To report a suspected Ebola case, send an SMS to 6767 and type alert or call the toll-free number 0800 100 066. Report early, protect lives.
This is the Media Roundtable, put together a panel of experienced journalists and pundits to discuss the current state of affairs. Looking at the military role in the civilian law enforcement and what that means for the future of this country. Timothy, before we took a break, we're discussing now the new political order Uganda is shifting to and the silence of President Yoweri Museveni. I know you have so much hope in institutions like the Uganda Human Rights and Parliament, but over time I think we've been proven that sometimes they'll be silent and nothing will happen. Is this a new reality that Uganda needs to adapt to?
I think that this is a reality that we'll have to deal with some time, and many of them quite unprecedented, where you see the leader of the PLU assigning the speaker, the deputy speaker, and all the other would be considered very senior leaders to be part of committees. An event that is quite unprecedented, but quite irregular in how it appears. I, though, wanted to just comment something that Saad mentioned around whether the tweets by MK are things that are serious or they're just a joke. I think for me that everything that Muhoozi tweets, in the latter, I think they are very serious. Partly because of two things. We've seen them happen, but two, it is on the indirect implementation of those that should be taking action. When I see the CDF tweeting and saying that I want to see the current leader of opposition out of that office, and an immediate response by the former Kabanda saying, consider this done, give me 2 weeks. I don't take that lightly.
But we all know how the leader of opposition is appointed, no?
Absolutely. But you see, it's on the likelihood of what may actually happen, the possibility of what can happen, both what is predictable within the law or otherwise. So I think for me, those are very serious. And sometimes it's on how the executioners, the people who are supposed to execute the orders, are always ready, whether it's the military or the members of parliament. It's upon the order and they are willing to execute it.
But let me ask, what is with the need to have control over all these institutions and all these spaces, whether political, government or not government? What is with the need to have control over them? After all, there are available tools available to you as an individual, both in your capacity as a military officer, head of the military, but also in your capacity in spaces that you do also occupy, like PLU. What is with the need to have control over these?
I mean, it can be as basic as just the fulfilling a personal desire. It can be as basic as I just want to demonstrate a point, and that can be it. That I want to ensure that the country understands that I'm in charge, and that it gives me pleasure seeing certain things happening the way I want. And probably that's the direction that we are taking going forward. In terms of institutions and probably how we are likely to see them unfold, definitely are likely to see them deteriorate further, partly because of the tokenism approach that we've taken, that all the leaders holding these positions on these institutions are all at the mercy, or are all in a space where they're playing very safe. And so because these institutions are led by individuals who are also paying allegiance to certain specific quotas, it means that their action will comply with the dynamics of the day. And so it's true that the institutions will continue deteriorating, and most likely the interest of the individuals who hold power today will take the day. On whether this is an ideal situation or a pleasant situation, definitely not. Is there a role that Ugandans can play? Definitely yes. I think that there is need to continue speaking up on this kind of thing. The price is quite high, but there is need to continue raising voices on what is happening and calling out what needs to be called out. I think that it's true that the opposition are just part of the group that are under focus now. but we have a bigger and a broader perspective to the country. The religious, the cultural institution seems to be also taking the safe, space. I've seen, for example, the arrest of Lukwago. I expected Buganda Kingdom to actually come out very clearly on some of these things and call out, the events as they're happening. At least those are voices that we need to hear. Whether they are followed or not, I think that all stakeholders must be able to come out strong and condemn or encourage whatever is happening, depending on where they are. Otherwise, the continued silence, right from the head of state to would-be associations or group of individuals, continues to undermine whatever is happening. It is true that democracy dies in silence, but also dies in darkness.
Right.
And there is this very deliberate effort to ensure that the two take precedent, that the things are happening are not seen in the public. Two, that people who should be speaking, the price to speak should be extremely high, that any person who thinks of speaking will think twice.
Isaac, the country has seen a military take control of so many spaces now, including hospitals. We've seen the recruitment of the military officers to hospitals, and remember the president saying that if the interns strike, I'll deploy the military officers in the hospitals. But the country is slowly sliding into that kind of phase where the military has control. Many countries that have done that have eventually found it very hard to reverse. Is Uganda at a tipping point?
Absolutely not. I don't think Uganda is at a tipping point. However, what I might agree is that there's an underlying desire for change, and that has exhibited in many forms. I mean, even people from NRM aspire to have change, and the only question is, what kind of change do we want? When you see PLU, there was a debate: is it a pressure group? Is it within the NRM structure? And you see that PLU advocates for change, and I think many people have missed Muhoozi's, the CDF's desire, or should I say, his expression of the things happening are not okay. We would want to see better in many ways, and there's a time he tweeted and said NRM is a reactionary party. Right? He was really trying to show that we need better, we need NRM to do things in a different way. So that change there is what I think he's trying to bring forward, and whether he'll bring it politically to gain support is another thing. But the thing is that change is desired. Now, we are not, us who maybe support NRM, are not interested. We don't want change at all costs. So Muhoozi is giving us and showing us that there can be change, whether it is in the fight against corruption or in the fight against this one-tone commentary of abusing leaders and all that kind of thing. If that is what he's trying to demonstrate, that things must change. And that's why I think that for me, going forward, is that the military getting involved in civil affairs is not something unique to Uganda. It happens elsewhere.
It's not unique, but when you let the military get involved in domestic affairs quite a lot, because the Constitution says power belongs to the people.
Yes.
Now, when you let power belong to the military rule, won't it become hard to return it back to the civilians?
I want to see how the power is now becoming militaristic. I mean, the military people in parliament are simply listening posts. The military, I feel like the military is, because of that political, the CDF's political angling and also his role as the CDF, maybe that's what is creating the gray area. But again, I don't see the military doing roads, that's another thing.
Maybe that's part of development, but the military handling political dissent.
Okay.
Taking over law enforcement as opposed to Uganda police.
Yeah, well, already Uganda police has always been militarized in the sense that it has generals who have led it, and so again, like I said, there's nothing new here, and I think there are people overthinking it in that sense. I believe that the structures still exist of our democratic system. Right now, Muhoozi is advocating for changes in parliament. He's not advocating that, let's remove or let's take over parliament in a sense of, I think that what we have to contend with is the fact that there are changes happening and there's a desire for change of leadership everywhere. But those NRM hardliners like the General Tafires and others are saying, okay, yes, we want change, it's not this one. But yeah, those are contestations that happen in a democratic society. We were saying earlier here with Mr. Sir Simon Yanja that Muhoozi might join the political side of things, and I think that at one point he was probably pushing and advocating to leave the army to join it. So I again see that the constitution is still in place, and I think it will be respected to the extent that it will be preserved around the institutions of the country. And I don't see how the military is taking over things yet, anyway.
Gloria, General Muhoozi represents hope for some people and change that Ugandans have been yearning for. You've even seen the president praise him for the change he has extended even to the military in terms of fighting corruption. But on the other side, the flip of the coin, he's in one way or another a new face of fear. This is such a contradiction to contend with as a Ugandan, no?
Yeah, I think one of our biggest undoing as a country has been the actions and inactions of our institutions. So with that kind of despair, and yes, like my colleagues have highlighted, that like Ugandans trying to, 40 years, definitely, people start kind of agitating for change. And yes, so Muhoozi, it's not that we've not seen better or we do not desire better, but I think under the circumstances, we find ourselves trapped with this person who is like the nearest or the closest to power, being what we have. So it's really like you say, it's a conflict, and like we're saying, with everything that he's doing, you saw some people chanting. I remember the other incident that happened the other day of our national player that was unfortunately killed. So you could see people now calling out to the CDF to come to the rescue, and I think he tweeted some things there, and you could see like people were now like, they looked at him as like he would be the solution. But then, like you say, on the other hand, he's the same person who is causing this kind of disorder to things. So maybe even as Ugandans, we seem to be in that state of like we no longer know what exactly or which path that we are supposed to take. So I think yes, yes, we say we are a very young population, so you can say that this is the most, the person that kind of appeals the most to the majority of the population. But then on the other hand, the question is really, is that the kind of person you want to be in charge of your country? So it is a bit of a conflict. Like, yes, we know he is the closest or the most, yes, the closest to power and the most likely to take over power. But then the question is usually, is that what we want? So I think we are just in a state of a conflict. We do not know where to go. At some point, you're thinking, okay, he's coming to rescue because, like I've said, of the inaction and actions of our institutions. So you're thinking, okay, if this person comes in and then rescues this particular situation, when they said that UPDF, the construction arm of UPDF is going to take over the roads. Everyone was excited. And you know why? Because the institutions that are charged with actually taking over that mandate have failed. So when someone comes in and tries to kind of provide a solution, we chant. But then the other question is that actually how things should be? I think that's the question we should be asking ourselves.
Sir Simon.
Yes, I wanted to start from what you said. You know, when we say power belongs to the people, I keep imagining maybe Ugandans think there is a particular group of people who should have this power. When you say power belongs to the people, it means that even those in the military who are people enjoy the power. The journalists are people. The doctors are people. So even when you say power belongs to the people, the military also are part of the people we're talking about. Because being in the military was solely a simple job. What makes you among the people is that you are human. So power belongs to us, power belongs to the military, power belongs to everybody. But before we complain about
what that means, let's not let it go away.
You'll not
I think what that means in the constitution,
the military,
and Isaac or Timothy can help.
The military may be that.
The Constitution,
may be that.
The Constitution
puts civilian authority above
gives us
every other authority.
A mechanism to understand how that power belongs to us. And not necessarily what.
Does the Constitution say power belongs to the civilian people?
No.
No, it puts civilian authority above any other. I think that's the interpretation that we need to...
Anyway.
There is no one article of the Constitution that should be interpreted alone. Again, it should be in context of the other. And just on that specific...
Okay.
So it is true that...
As a matter of fact, as a matter of fact, is the military concerned if there is misrule in our country? Are they concerned?
They should be concerned.
Do they have a duty to give direction to the country at one point if need arises?
That's true, but it's just to look into your interpretation of people and all these components.
Because you have taken the ordinary interpretation.
Because
you must understand the poetic interpretation, not the ordinary one. The poetic interpretation of power belongs to the people. The country belongs to all of us. Everybody has a role to play. So we are all concerned.
But in the
what
same way,
I try to tell you,
the civilian rule shall be supreme to the military rule.
If you say Mohozi is misbehaving in one way, what is the CDF? There could also be people within the military who are not happy with what he's doing.
That's
right or wrong. So we all enjoy this power and have equal rights. But I wanted to remind Kandre of where we are coming from, and Gloria was about to get there. Where are we coming from? How did we get to where we are? Many people in our country are not happy with how institutions have performed their duties. The corruption in contracts and tendering, there's now corruption in the way people are giving jobs at district level. In my district, Kalilo, people are selling land to go and buy a job at the district. When the civilians entrusted with the duty fail to do it, the military is invited by implication that please come and help. And because they have done, and there's evidence that when they handle something, they do it better, many Ugandans are now in support of the military taking over some responsibilities because they do it better. You can look at the cost that we undertake. People take billions on a road project, and they do a job with just half of the budget they presented, but also take full amount of the money they requested for. The military has done it better. One, first in time, and two at a cheaper cost. So it is where we are coming from, and the way we have behaved. Now what you call the civilian authority, the way the civilian institutions and civilian authorities have behaved, that is attracting the military to take concern, because they have a duty also to protect our country.
Yes, but the same constitution says that the civilians will be allowed to be governed through their will and consent.
So their will grants them to do things in a corrupt manner? Is that the will?
The will and their consent.
The will of the people says, do this job, half the price you asked for. Is that the will of the people?
No, in this case, power cannot belong to a single individual, a single institution.
That's why I'm saying, I'm debating civilian authority
Police or UPDF.
And the military as an institution. They are concerned. You spend so much, you cause... when you cause mayhem in our country, and the country is at danger, you ask the military to defend you. You ask the military to come in. So is it wrong, therefore, if they try to act in a preventive manner so that the catastrophe that comes out of what you're doing does not happen at that cost? So to me, I think and I want this to be on record. Ugandans must not be deceived. This man called General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, Museveni's son, is intelligent, is strategic. Whatever you think he's doing, you're actually misreading him. In Muhoozi, he's a real patriotic Ugandan, one who loves his country like any of you, one who loves peace, one who loves order. The difference between him and his father may be the level of tolerance, that you tolerate something you know is outright wrong for so much a time until when it causes diverse effects. Maybe Muhoozi is preventive. He says, instead of us going this way, without this kind of disaster we expect, let us prevent this. Whatever it takes to prevent it, to me, if you say prevention is better than cure, one who is doing it to prevent is better than one who waits for it to happen and meet the costs. I believe, and I want Ugandans to believe, that Muhoozi is sensible, that Muhoozi is not dictatorial, that Muhoozi is not inhuman, Muhoozi is not senseless. You simply need to take time to read him, his orientation and history, where he's coming from, and what he aspires to have. And you know, among like these many of you Ugandans, you simply not want to be honest. There are many people, majority in silence, who are saying, Obajaje, let him come. There are many people who are fed up with the way we conduct ourselves in public affairs that are saying, okay, I think our way of conducting public affairs is not sufficient enough. Let Muhoozi's style take over. Return our country to order. We'll sort out that later. And I agree with them and support that. There are times that bad methods are required to deliver success, to deliver victory.
Simon, you saw Nalongo Lukwago at court. In tears, you saw Lukwago's son. I don't think they would agree with you if they heard your comments.
In tears?
That Obajaje. I think that what is fundamental here is what is the right thing to do. I think that's the basic things that they're asking.
Canary, my brother, in 2017, my children and my wife and my mother and my sisters cried when I was being taken to prison. It was simply that they did not agree that for me participating in elections, I would end up in prison. Lukwago's children, his wife, and all his lovers, including me, would cry. But that is not a problem. That does not solve the immediate need we have for our country. Lukwago will come out. You're talking about Lukwago, who you know was arrested in cameras, taken to wherever he was taken, in cameras, produced in court, in cameras. You now know where Lukwago is. There were governments before us where would simply say, Lukwago bamutute, he's been taken. And the next thing you expect is his head or his body. Here you know, Muhoozi says, I have him in my basement. And surely you know he's there. He's alive. I represent him to police. And he presents him, and the law takes its course. It's...
I don't know if you could just give me a minute to... I think there are 2 to 3 points that Sir Simon raises, which I think require a bit of response. The first is around where he says that the failure in our institutions, the failure in how we do things, for example, in his district, invite the military. If you look at the construction and our legal framework, you see we have structures and systems of military cannot be our first intervention. We've, for example, had Ministry of Works, whatever challenges they have had in roads. Does it mean, or because what Simon says that it automatically or implies that the military should intervene? We have the president, we have the systems that should intervene. Military should not be the first area of intervention on failures by institutions. And the
institutions intervened. So what I'm saying, you have the institutions who are supposed to intervene. Have they intervened?
The question should be asking is, why have they intervened? And what should be done to ensure that they intervene? Not to say that the intervention by the military is greatly celebrated and should be the first intervention. Because we have systems, and if you do believe that our systems should be respected, I think that we should be going towards that direction. The second thing, I think that Simon seems to make a comparative direction of what has happened in the worst system to make sense or to justify what is happening today. That just because there was a time when people would disappear and never to be seen again, we are fairly in a better place. I think that because we already have a system that clearly indicates that if you wanted, whatever a person has done, we have systems, we have institutions that should be able to do that. If Simon makes a case that because the military came to abduct the former Lord Mayor, it's a normal situation. For me, that's a bit problematic.
Is that abduction?
That is abduction.
Sure.
Is that an arrest?
Let's take a break. When we return, what happened to soft power? What happened to earning legitimacy genuinely? Or are the days of President Yoweri Museveni's tolerance over?
Uganda is blessed with extraordinary natural beauty, but who's protecting it? This Friday, the National Environment Management Authority honors the champions of our environment. The National Environment Sustainability Awards, NESA 2026, recognizing individuals, organizations, and institutions going above and beyond to safeguard Uganda's future. Join us live on NBS TV, Friday, 19th of June from 8 to 9 p.m.
Color your world.
From 11 June to 19 July, everything can wait. The FIFA World Cup 2026. Catch all 104 matches on 4 dedicated channels, live on SuperSport, only on DSTV.
Did you know? Brought to you by
Fake spare parts can be deceiving. They seem cheaper, they seem good enough, they get you moving for now. But what you don't see is the hidden cost, damage to your car, endless repairs, wasted time off the road, and potential risk to lives. In the long run, fake parts cost you more. Choose genuine parts from any CFA or mobility location countrywide.
Did you know? Brought to you by
olina isimu wamiragirira
anti MTN yatuwaire eddakiika 3 edda obwereere kasita ogula minutes okuva ku ssaawa endala ey'okunkyo paka ssaawa 2 edda okuntu butini got niga star 10 star 2 hash sindika
ndi bwanyine tibyakulimba
ate ng'era osobola okukozesa app yebwe ya my MTN eroidafune
taku bando y'eddakiika da MTN wagatuwa essaawa endala n'essaawa ebiri ed'okunkyo ofuna eddakiika da MTN ku MTN edd'obwereere nga dda lunaku lulamba niga star ndala noti star ibiri ndala ashi era ofuna eddakiika do edd'obwereere buli lunaku okuyungibwa kwaife tekulemesebwa
MTN. Sometimes escape begins above the clouds, where peace waits beneath the trees. Here, nature invites you to breathe, to reconnect, to feel alive again. Where warm welcomes feel as natural as the forest around you. A sanctuary designed for comfort, and moments made to flow effortlessly. Forest Resort Louise, where nature welcomes you home.
Uganda, it's time to move for a cause. Join the Olympic Day Tokyo Run 2026 on 20.
Well, one of these days, I'm just going to make sure that I have a camera recording behind the scenes what happens during the ad break, because the debate is even hotter. This is a medium roundtable onto our last segment of the show. Now taking a look at the future of Uganda today. Gloria, should we say now the tolerance days of President Yoweri Museveni are over?
For now, I'll choose to remain optimistic. And since we have just given another 5-year mandate to President Yoweri Museveni, my expectation is that we will still fall within or follow how he has actually been reigning on this country, for a lack of a better word. So I still think, or I still hope, that is going to be the modus operandi going forward. And I'm still believing in these promises that the NRM manifesto has provided, the term no sleep. So I'm still positive that we're going to see things changing. But of course, in hindsight, I do appreciate that yes, these terms come and these terms go and things remain the same. But I'm really still positive that we can still maintain the order and the kind of the way we've been doing things, and the aspiration really to live by the constitutional demands or requirements. So that is really still my hope. And
he's been speaking tough on the recent speeches, from swearing in to the budget, to the state of the nation. He's been speaking tough on leaders and saying the days of sleeping are over. This military rule, do we think that it's an extension of his toughness in this new term?
But again, as we, like I said, it's always, when has he never spoken tough? He's always spoken tough. I think the reality is usually, at the end of the day, does it amount to anything? We had term no corruption, but we all know that the last term has also been filled with a lot of corruption incidences. So it still comes down to whether whoever this message is going to will uphold by it, or even, because at the end of the day, even Ugandans have a responsibility. They are supposed to facilitate what becomes term no sleep. So I think at the end of the day, until all the different stakeholders actually uphold by these demands by the president, we will still go back to the same thing: threats and no action.
Simon, someone here says, please tell Muyangalta that it's painful listening to him debate. He has totally misconstrued the concept of power belongs to the people. I hope his paycheck from Muhoozi will come sooner. But on way forward...
Incidentally, Canary.
On the way forward, I wanted to ask, when our children are growing up in this country in these coming years and our grandchildren, when they grow up thinking or knowing that military knocking on people's doors and arresting them in the dark and doing all these arbitrary arrests, is the normal, that is the right thing to do?
All right, Kali, thank you. I want for information to let people know that I have no paycheck from General Muhoozi. I last met General Muhoozi 2 years ago. We have not talked on phone or even email in the last 2 years. So, but I want to be realistic that even the Yoweri Museveni you're talking about today has been good and saint once committed atrocities. There are 800,000 people who died in Luwero on the account of a struggle that Yoweri Kaguta Museveni led. Today is leading as well. I do not think Muhoozi has done that much or has been worse than that. So, I don't want us to dwell on what's happening and then saying Museveni's tolerance has run out. No, Museveni's tolerance and leadership style runs out only when he leaves. He's still here. He's the one in charge of this country. He knows what's happening. But I've told you that there are things that you don't want to hear that are actually factual.
He's just tweeted 4 minutes ago saying that right now I'm only CDF, but one day I'll soon become president of Uganda.
Is that news to you? The aspiration that he wants to be president is news to you? He wants to be president. The reason some of us support him is that we were saying we have no stake in this current government. We must have a stake in the next government. And when we say next government and next president, we mean General Muhoozi Kainerugaba.
But what happened to soft power? What happened to earning legitimacy genuinely without
now, you
having
cannot
to
demand,
use
or you cannot demand of tolerance from Muhoozi simply because Museveni is tolerant. The two are different individuals. If Museveni has been tolerant, and that's his style, thank you, and thank him for his style. You have enjoyed it. Know for sure that is another style of leadership. That the kind of things we do that look stupid cannot be tolerated by anybody. I am not as tolerant as you. You are not as tolerant as me. Your character and my character are different depending on who we are serving. The condemnation, the outright condemnation and belittling of Muhoozi Kainerugaba today is not new. Even before he did this, from the word go, I remember in 2023, I told our friends in the opposition, I said, you people, you have taken on a wrong contract, that you have hated Museveni and fought him and belittled him. You want to simply move and add on his son, simply because Muhoozi is the son of Museveni. Muhoozi had no choice in determining who his father is. So you cannot blame him for that. You cannot take him for that. You cannot belittle him by simply saying Museveni's son. You need to be realistic as a journalist. When you read on social media, go to Muhoozi's tweets and read the kind of belittling responses there on. Even if you are me, somehow you'll get. I am not the CDF, but I am debating what I see and what you see. So there is Muhoozi, Museveni's son, and then there is Muhoozi, the CDF. If what Muhoozi was posting was on the UPDF Twitter handle, I would think the military is acting that way. If what is putting is on the Twitter handle...
Simon, I'm really struggling to understand your argument.
First wait.
I'm really struggling to understand your argument.
What does he call himself on that X account? Muhoozi who?
Muhoozi Kainerugaba. Is it Muhoozi the CDF? In his description, it tells
maybe
you,
let's put it
I am
this
also
way,
CDF, I am also
maybe
this.
let's put it this way. What about when he orders for arrests? Is he ordering as first son or ordering as the CDF?
You need to ask him that. When he does.
You're the one speaking
He
for
says,
him.
I, Muhoozi of the Bachwezi, Alupiki Lukwago. So he's saying Muhoozi Kainerugaba, the grandson of the Bachwezi, picks Lukwago. Whether the picking was wrongful, that's why Lukwago is now in court. First, we'll have to say, I was wrongly picked by people who had no authority to pick me. Court will determine that.
He says, this is the official Twitter account of General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, Chief of Defense Forces, UPDF.
But whether it's their account or not, you see, leadership position comes with responsibility. Whether you have a Twitter handle or not, it means that there's some level of expectation that is of what is expected of you.
So
is
it the UPDF that is tweeting?
The chief of
defense. I think for me, the questions of the presidents, the chairman, NRM, the UPC, those are all semantics, really. There is a bigger problem.
The person of Muhoozi Kainerugaba, who has a job employed by Ugandans as a chief of defense forces, is doing that. Not the military. When you say you're worried of military rule, and that does not define the military conduct. The military is led by instruments in law. We know how the military is led. Muhoozi can tomorrow leave. Is it the first CDF or the last one?
You asked the question.
So look at the military in itself as an institution, and not Muhoozi to be the embodiment and definition of the military. And you say military rule is taking over civilian rule. No.
But just as a point of information for Gloria, he has had this Twitter even before he was CDF. So he was tweeting in his personal capacity, and he has said this several times. He has tweeted and said that, look, you should distinguish this account from any other. I'm here as Muhoozi. If you're looking for CDF, there is UPDF communications. There are people who deal with that. But anyway.
And when he says my father, you mean it is history that all the fathers of CDFs are that important for reference? He simply says my father because Museveni, the president, also happens to be his father. Without being president, Museveni will still be father of...
We appreciate that context.
Isaac, finish. Yeah, as I was saying, I think the next 5 years are going to be, for me, they are going to be exciting in many ways. I feel like on the economic front, I think Uganda, we might see some changes, economically. We might grow, people might feel, but politically, the sense of change that is desired is going to come out a bit more distinct in these 5 years. We see there's a growing need, whether it is PLU that is going to be at the forefront of leading this change, is going to be seen for sure. They might try and be more visible, but again, I still think the buck stops with President Museveni. And like he did the other time, you no longer see PLU birthdays. He simply went, picked up, gave them a few positions, and the birthdays stopped. So you can see the changes that have happened in the leadership of PLU. I expect that maybe they may be now push for their space and come out of this NRM shell that they are in. So, I mean, good, that is on the positive side. But as far as governance is concerned, I think we should just wait for the next election. It will come, and everybody will participate equally.
Timothy. But I wanted Chamunges to accept, before you come in Canada, I wanted Chamunges to accept that Elias Lukwago was arrested in cameras and by men in uniform. Right or wrong?
Should men in uniform be carrying out arrests?
You see, first, do you accept that you know who arrested him? Men in uniform. And the uniform you can trace to an institution. Arrests can be done by anybody, depending on the circumstances of they are picking and the circumstance of the crime for who they are picking this person. I can tell you that. If you call them security forces, they have equal rights if there is any security case to handle. The gymnastics of where they come from, police or so, comes later.
But do you understand the consequences of sidelining police when carrying out?
Has police complained of being sidelined in this case?
Well, at least they did not know about the arrest by the time Lukwago was arrested.
Who says whatever we have done, police had done?
They told us
if
that
they
did
not
no
know.
idea.
If they did not know, they now have an opportunity to know because the person picked has been handed over to them. Let them take forward.
But you see,
it's like police is just receiving deliveries from
me,
your
what Simon is saying are quite disturbing. You see, if we want to normalize that abductions would be clothed in arrest formats, and you see, the penal code clearly provides of what an arrest looks like.
Simon, give Timothy a chance to explain his point.
You have clearly a person who identifies themselves to come and arrest. They take you to a gazetted place. Whether the police, and the police have actually indicated at least then that they were not aware of the the arrest of the former mayor. We've come now to learn that the people who took that process were the military. But you see, Simon, it is not what should be the case.
When he was going to be picked and he treated?
I mean, his knowledge of his abduction or arrest, I think for me that's not important. What is important for me is the manner in which he was abducted, but also the unfolding event.
During arrest?
I mean, arrest...
Was he flogged much during arrest?
That is not the definition or the composition of what an arrest should do like. But for me, again, is a bit slightly to go away from. My problem with the current situation are two things. The colleagues who are encouraging of what is happening, people who are trying to paint the unfortunate situations that are happening to be right, but also more importantly, people who seem to be cheering on of what is happening, especially if it is visibly wrong. You see colleagues who are, instructions are given, and you see people really cheering on undermining of institutions, abuse of rule of law, and most of these democratic dispensations. I want to challenge Simon that if the oppositions have made comments calling the CDF the son of
belittling, not belittling him.
I think for me, Muhoozi is not. He has a thick skin. He's a CDF, and that just because they call you the son of Museveni, that does not quantify to be belittling. I think that we are in a democratic space.
Drunkard.
I mean,
son of Museveni is not belittling. A drunkard. You call him a drunkard.
So if
he's a drunkard, deal with the drunkard the way you think he is. Why are you crying over a drunkard?
If you ever
why
hold
would you be bothered?
If you ever hold public
drunkard?
office, I think you should be prepared.
I think
for all sorts of words.
Really, Simon.
I agree with you. I agree with you, Canada. Let the opposition rather respect him, Muhoozi, and so demand the same respect from him.
Yeah,
if you have belittled him, do not expect him to handle
unfortunately, time is up.
You have belittled him over the last very many years.
The legal framework, and all of us must focus on that.
Do you see the men in uniform? You see the men in uniform?
That is an abduction. Notwithstanding.
Unfortunately, our time is up. Simon, I worry for you when you start to serve in a public office and you are in one or another met with words that you do not agree with or criticism as you hold public office. I worry what you will do.
Criticism is different from calling me names. You would criticize me. It's okay.
You should be willing for that. You should have thick skin for that.
Gentlemen and lady, many thanks for honoring our invitation to be here with us on the Media Roundtable, and thanks for making time this early morning to speak about this. Well, let us know what you think about the current situation. Hashtag NBS Media Roundtable. My name is Canary Mugume, and I also want to remind you that you can be able to tag us at NBS TV on Twitter, on Facebook, and everywhere to be able to give us your opinion. But also, before we go, I wanted to remind you that if you are already sending money to family and friends in Kenya, Nigeria, Rwanda, or Tanzania, then this is for you. With SendWave Wallet, you can hold and send digital dollars and cash out in Ugandan shillings whenever you are ready. Remember, each digital dollar is backed up by one actual US dollar. You can also make free transactions and transfers using between SendWave wallets across 110 plus countries, which means you can send money directly from your SendWave wallet to another SendWave wallet without transfer fees. Your friends and family can hold their money in digital dollars and cash out in their local currencies whenever they do wish. So download the SendWave wallet app and directly from Play Store or App Store, and fund your wallet with $10 instantly using the promo code NEXT, N-E-X-T, and get $5 on us. Please note that SendWave makes money on the exchange rate, so terms and conditions apply. That's all we had for you this morning. Catch up tomorrow on the Big Talk 9 to 11 a.m., both on Next Radio and NBS TV. Good morning.